Hello everyone, this is Gogan here with Baka Bros Studios, coming at you with another animation tutorial. Last time was last Tuesday. We haven't seen each other since last Tuesday because Thanksgiving was on Thursday, and I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and enjoyed family time and everything. We have Daniel Peterson joining us today, just chatting with us and giving his remarks every so often. It might not too many though, I hope. Just kidding. Yeah. Stay whatever you want. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, he's joining us today, and we were just going over the polish pass of the Victory Celebrate animation. So just to recover what we did last week, we blocked in the Celebrate animation. This animation is for when the character wins a race, right? And so what we have Mallet Boy doing here is he smashes down his mallet on the ground after he stops. Camera's going to pan around like this to him, and we're going to see him looking at the crowd, pumping his fist, and yeah, I won, woo, yeah. Oh, it's gonna be so great. I think Daniel wants to do a video where we are so far with the game in like a week or two. Is that right, Daniel? Yeah, and what we've been doing, you know, I'm witnessing firsthand from, you know, me and the programmer working closely together. It's really exciting stuff, and we're getting a lot of stuff working in the game. We've come a long way since just doing the you know, regular Mallet Boy animation tutorials and everything. Come a long way, so I'm excited to show that off and let people see where we're at. So yeah, but yeah, so this is where we left off last week. Just did the blocking, and this animation in the end will probably be separated into two different animations. The first animation will be him smashing the mallet down here onto the ground, and then we're gonna separate right here from here on into another animation of a loop, so that when he does win, it will just loop this animation right here. So he's looking back and forth until the camera cuts out a screen or cuts to a different screen for the next race or something like that. So let's go ahead and press play, check out our timing. See if we're liking it. I don't quite remember. Yeah, we timed it out last week, and I was liking where the timing was going. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our curves. Make sure we are in auto mode for animation. And then we're going to go to our graph editor. Again, if you see all these crazy wacky numbers, just go up to your show here, turn everything off, and then just turn on the controls and the polygons, and that'll get rid of those wacky numbers for you. You open your graph editor, it takes a long time. The graph has to draw all the curves, animation curves. Okay, show, none. Okay, and then make sure we click on our layer that we're working on, because or else it's going to show all the curves of all the animations that we've done so far in this file. Select all of them, go ahead and press auto. Now we see how gross and muddy and poopy our animation gets. Maybe, we'll see how it works out. Oh yeah, and this could actually work in the game pretty well as is. I mean, it's not polished. It's not very pretty right now, but this for sure for testing purposes, this could go right in the game, and you get the feel of it because we've done so well with our blocking. We just be able to see the feel of how it feels, and if we want to keep this animation, if we want to completely just put it in the trash and start a new animation. So first off, I'm seeing that the first thing that I like to do with these is I just like to um, I like to get rid of the big bulky blocky movements, right? And the biggest blocky movements I see right now are him when when he's pumping his fist, right, right, right here, and then he goes into here, right? That's just like super linear, it's super ugly, and he just kind of goes and then stops. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to just grab his, and that's looks like I think it's being driven from the main control here. That turn, part of it's being driven from the control, part of it's being driven from the root control or the main control, and the other part's being controlled by his chest. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and find out where he turns, and then we are going to delete all these keys in here. Oops. Delete all these keys in here, and we're just going to ease into that, right? Delete this key as well. And we're going to set a key, and we're just going to move him over just a little bit. And it might be more, we might have to do more than that, but with doing that, he will now won't hit so hard, right? And we might want to even just get rid of this here, so he eases in all the way. Oops, I think I got rid of it. It is here, and then he eases in the whole time. Press play to see how that looks. Yeah, that's looking all right. Might want to pull that there forward. Like I've always said, a lot of animation. I mean, there's obviously a lot to know as far as being an animator goes, but a lot of it is also just trial and error, right? It's a lot of it's just like, okay, I got my blocking in, and now I'm going in and I'm adding my polish, and it's a lot of it is experimenting, right? And you don't necessarily know if something's gonna work, so you just got to try it out, and then see if you like it or not. In a lot of cases, and then if you don't, you try something else. But that's a lot of animation. I mean, you got to know the core principles of animation and how to, do proper blocking and where to do certain things and when to do them. But as far as the spline, as far as the polish pass goes, a lot of it is just testing it out. At least to me, at least the way my workflow is, I test a lot. I don't know. I don't really like to marry one idea and keep that idea, because I might change it. And so if I do this general blocking, and then kind of I'm able to live in the in between moments and kind of add some fun in there. Some other animators will just block their entire scene out on twos. Right, so there's a keyframe every 2 frames, and that's fine. It just keeps it, and I'm gonna say a lot of cinematic studios do it that way, and it kind of locks in. They know cinematic studios know exactly the personality they're going for, what they want. Right, that's what storyboarding is for, and so when they do that, they're able to lock down what they're looking for and everything. But with game animation, I mean, to me, a lot of it is seeing what will feel right and everything. Okay. This other gross part that I see here. And Daniel, if you ever want to interrupt me, please just interrupt me and give your 2 cents or like any questions you have. Well, luckily we'll get an updated version of Mallet Boy, right? But yeah, like I was saying last time, though, I mean, this is just a great test model, right? We can, and the cool thing is we can keep all of our animations as long as the dimensions of the character stay the same and everything. We can keep all of our animations, and you can update the model as long as all the joints and everything stays in the same place. You can just keep the model, and all of our animations will stay and transfer right over. So yeah, yeah. It's always exciting thinking about the details, right? But I mean, there's also another point, like with the hoodie thing. Like, if it was flapping in the wind, um, you got to think about like noise to the player, right? There might be like a player will be playing a game, and there's just too much noise going on, right? And it's kind of distracting in a way, right? If there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be super, super cool for like a motorcycle because the motorcycle wouldn't have very much going on with it, right? And so it would kind of contrast what the jacket's doing, and the jacket would be doing all the cool flapping and everything. The Mallet Boy though, like the cart is doing all its vibrating and all of its stuff, and so there's a lot of noise going on with the cart, and so the cart and Mallet Boy would be kind of clashing with each other. But I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like that's a good way, like you said, to add more complexness to the game. And it's important to make sure that your characters are different from each other, right? Because like Revenera will be different in not just like character design, but just like what her animations will be doing, right? She'll be contrasting the other characters, and so it's also very important to think about that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we want to make sure, since this will be the most important part of our animation, is this loop here, and so we want to make sure that from the end of the loop to the beginning of the loop, everything is going into each other smoothly. Obviously, it's not right now, right? It's he's turning and leaning back and kind of stopping, and so we need to make sure that on this loop he doesn't do that. And so a quick surefire way to do that is to make sure that the first and last frames match each other. Okay, and if you do that, then you've completed step one of making sure, ensuring a smooth transition. The next thing is to go into your graph editor and looking at all your different rotations. And so when from scrubbing through, we can see that Mallet Boy has a Z rotation, and he has all three rotations, right? He's leaning forward, leaning back, and and turning to the side. So you'll see that there's a really severe curve right here with this slope that we see here on the graph editor. It's really severe, and it goes down pretty hard and fast. And so what we need to do is we need to just pull this down here and do the same here. Pull this down just a little bit so it can, and maybe even delete this key here so it's not completely flat. It doesn't go back to completely flat right there. And then we just need to adjust our other rotations as well. We don't really use any translation in this part, so we won't worry about those curves looping into each other. And the other important thing is, since this is coming off of another animation, it's important that your curves do flow into each other. So like when this curve comes up here, it flows into this one, right? And we want to make sure that that's a nice smooth transition as well, or it will look like garbage. And so since this one is flowing downward, we want this one to flow in the same angle, same kind of thing, same kind of downward angle into the other. Okay, let's go ahead and press play and see how that looks. Okay. It's looking a little... Yeah. And the other part that we need to make sure, since it's the other part that is rotating, is the chest, and so we need to go into the chest and make sure those curves are transitioning in and out of each other smoothly as well. Okay. Here. Okay, let's see how that's working for us. Okay, so you'll notice when he's moving, when he comes over to this side, he kind of stops a little bit and then he starts going again. Right, just for a second, he just hits he hits a hitch where he kind of stops and then starts going again. And we can just look at this and go, okay, there's frames going all the way to the back, all the way to the end of the timeline, right? And that is the main control. The main control is what is continuing on to the end. Our chest control is not, and so we need to pull that over and make sure that it is going all the way to the end as well. Let's see if that's matching. Okay, now we'll notice that our first and last keys are not matching up, and so what we can do is we can just grab everything, grab the last key here, let's grab our first key actually, and then just press S and copy that over. So our first and our last match. Okay, we're looking a little smoother. Let's get rid of this key here. That was on the head. Let's get rid of this key as well. See what that gives us. Okay. And then sometimes you just need to go in there and kind of start tweaking it manually, because if we scrub through here, you'll notice that he starts rotating backwards pretty quickly right here, and he doesn't really rotate backwards at all in this part right here, right? He's kind of rotating to the side. Okay, he's leaning more so on that than he is on this, and so maybe let's get rid of this so he doesn't lean downward, and we'll see if that's causing any of our issues that we don't want. That is. So it's really that him leaning down, but a principle, I guess I don't want to say principle, but a rule of animation is that when a person turns, right? When a person turns their head, or a person turns their body, their head and their body is gonna kind of rotate downward, right? You're not just gonna, like when you're looking at somebody, you're not just gonna, right, just go straight to the side, right, or other side. You're going to dip your head just a little bit, and so you're gonna, right, you're gonna dip down and then look over like that, or you're gonna dip down with your upper torso and your head more so than the torso. Yeah, that rhymed. It's gonna look over. I love when I do that. But your head dips down and then you look over. Okay, it's not really, you're not gonna like go like that and then do that. It's just a very slight dip and then look over. And that's yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. But here's the thing, though. I liked that rotation forward, right? I want to keep that rotation forward, and so I'm going to go back to rotating him forward. But that gives us that problem of him rotating upward on this last part, and not, and it's going to give us a problem, right? It's going to bring us back that problem. Well, what we can do is we can just go to this frame here where he's leaning, and we can tilt him back, continue him tilting backward like this. Ooh, not that much. And that will put in that rotation backwards that we need. Because if you notice, this is a pretty severe curve here, and we just got to match the curve here on this side, and it will look smooth again. A little bit more. And if you'll notice here on our graph, you'll notice that this frame here is it's going down and then it's smoothing out here at the bottom. But on this side, going from this one into this one, it's not smoothing out, right? It's not going like this at all. Our key at the end of the timeline is doing that, and so what we want to do is we just want to have that continue downward like that. Okay, that's looking like smoother, like we want it to. Okay, the next thing is I think his hand pumps are just a little too small, right? And so what I want to do is I just want to go in there, super easy, simple way to get him to hand pump more, fist pump, whatever, is to just go into the curve and just scale that up, right? And you'll notice his hand gonna get stretched, and that's fine. All we gotta do is just pull that back down like that. And then we're gonna want to scrub through here. And I like that more. I like how bent his arm is getting. Yeah, rather than just the little bit apart. So yeah, I like that more. I don't know. You like that more, Daniel? Sweet. Okay. And so now you'll notice when he is pumping his fist, it's kind of stopping, right? It's kind of going boom, boom, and it's kind of hitting a hard ceiling, we like to call it. It's hitting a ceiling, and so we want to get rid of that ceiling. And the ceiling that it's hitting is this flat tangent right here, right? And the way we get rid of that is just to pull these up. Either pull this down here, or pull this up. Pulling it up might give us a stretchy arm, but we'll see when we scrub here. Yeah. It's right on the brink of stretching. So it's just perfect. Yeah, sweet. Okay. So on this good movie. The other night, me and my wife were watching a show, and oh man, I was laughing so hard. There was this line, and it was a really, really serious scene, pretty dramatic scene, and the actor or the character said, "The choice is your, like, do what you want. The choice is yours." And then she's like, "At Chuckarama." Oh man, it was so funny and she just tied the two things together, and it was a really serious moment. And the funniest thing about it is she never does anything like that. That's the funniest part. Like, she just, like, out of nowhere she said that, and oh man, it's one of those things you just needed to be there. Oh boy. Okay, looks like, okay, let's see how that softened up for us. See how that fist pump is working. Okay. I like the fist pump more now. It's a lot smoother, a lot softer. Except on that second pump on each one of the, like, sequences of the pumps, it kind of goes a little fast on that second pump, right? He's pumping, and then on the last one it goes really quickly, and so I kind of want to soften that up, and we can do that by finding that second pump, right? He goes down, then up, and then down again, and then up. We can just give that section a couple more frames by adjusting our timeline here. And we're going to want to do that on both of the sections here. Okay, we'll see how that's looking. Yeah, that looks a lot better. A lot softer. Yeah. He's looking really stiff right now still, in the chest area on that lean over. right in this area. He's still looking really stiff, so we'll fix that in just a second here. One thing, I'm gonna do one thing that will just add, that will just give him life. We won't have to polish it anymore from here if we just do this one little simple thing, right? Eye darts. They are the most important part of any character, of any scene you ever do, or any animation you ever do, right? If the eyes of the character are going to be seen, it is literally the most important part. And why? Because it gives the character thought, right? Because when we're thinking, the human brain is thinking. It's what is it called? It's like when you're looking into the past. This is actually a fact that I think majority of people do this. When somebody asks you a question and you're trying to think of something, you look to the left and your eyes will shift and they'll eye dart, right? Because your mind is trying to find that memory, right? You look to the left and your eyes will eye dart and try to find whatever that memory is you're looking for. And you're like literally going inside your brain and looking for the memory, right? And if you're looking into the future, like if somebody says, well, what do you want to get for dinner tonight? You're going to look the other way. You're going to look to the right, because the right is forwards. I don't know, to me, forwards and back, that's the way I see it. Right is going to be forwards, and you're going to look to the right, and you're going to think, and you're going to try and find the places that you want to go, and you're going to think about driving there and actually going to that place, right? And so it's really cool. And so as soon as you give these guys eye darts, you're giving them a brain, and because they're thinking, right? You're putting a brain inside them, and they're thinking about what they're doing. And so he's looking at all the people, right? And he's like, man, I'm gonna get that trophy, right? That's what he's thinking right now. He's like, yeah, I just won this race. I'm gonna win the rest of them, and I'm gonna win this trophy. And so he's looking into the future now, just super confident, and he's looking at all the spectators. Like, I could have just left the animation almost where it was at when we started and just given him eye darts, and that would have almost that right there would have almost given him life and given him enough of what he needed to make him feel like he's a part of the, like, just a believable character. And so we'll go ahead and press play now and see what those eye darts gave us. I mean, they're a little sloppy right now. Yeah, let's go like this. Let's fixate those eyes. You got to make sure you fixate the eyes for a period of time where they stay locked on the same thing, and then they shoot to something else. I mean, just scrubbing through it, you can. Wah! Oh, that's a scary devil. That little bugger. Okay, keep his eye. Yeah, I mean, just scrubbing through it, you can already see. Right? I mean, just so much life you just put inside these characters when you just do eye darts, simple eye darts. Right? And so then on the head turns, this is a fact as well, that people physically do this every time. When you turn your head, you're ending one thought in your mind and you're beginning another, right? And so you're closing. So when you're looking one way and you turn your head completely the other way, I'm doing it inadvertently. You're closing one side of processing and you're opening the other side of processing, right? Just to put it in a literal in a more literal sense. And so this guy doesn't have eyelids. Thanks, Daniel. Uh, so so we're just gonna fake his eyelids, right? Just rotate his eyes down. And so he's going to look to one way, and then he's going to blink, and he's going to look the other way. My wife is playing Mario Sunshine in the background, and she just beat it. Oh, just kidding. She hasn't beaten it. She's about to. She's about to fight Bowser. Okay. He's blinked, and so we're going to do this. We're going to open up his eyes right here. And so this animation is actually important with the eyes. Usually if it's from the back, we don't have to worry about moving the eyes at all, because in a kart racing game, you're never going to see the front, right? Unless like you're facing a character and for some reason the character is driving backwards and it's super fast anyway. But usually the eyes don't matter. But since the camera will be rotating around to the front of this character, the eye movements are actually going to be super important. So it's important. Yeah, see how much that life that those blinks and those eye darts just add to him. It just like literally to me, it just brought him to life, right? He now in my mind when I'm watching him, he's a character that thinks for himself and he's intentionally doing this, and he's actually legitimately excited about his win because we've put a brain inside of his mind, a brain inside of his head. I mean. Okay. Now let's get to this stiff part right here where he kind of just leans his head. The reason it looks stiff is because his head and his head is they're kind of have the same timing, and so his head and his body are leaning at the same time, right? And that's why he looks robotic and stiff like this. And so we just need to change that timing, or we need to change the rotation. And so what we can do is we can grab his head and rotate it like this and just get rid of some of these keys here. And then he'll rotate his head. And maybe that I don't like that motion because it looks like he's like jerking his head, right? He's like, oh. He's like giving himself whiplash. A little bit. Just a little bit. It's not huge. But maybe we want to lead his head like this. And then he comes and looks up like that. I still don't like it. He's just being a stinker. And this is where a lot of that experimenting thing that I was talking about happens, right? You've got to just kind of experiment with some ideas and then see where you land with a couple of different ones that you come up with. And instead of tilting his head like this, we can maybe rotate it sideways like this, or have it rotating like this, so it as his body is coming this way, his head is coming this way, right? Like this. And so we can try that out. And so I'm liking the look of that, so let's Let's play with this a little bit more here. Where one side of the curve transitions smoothly into the other curve. Let's see, we have the right curve here. Nope, we don't even have the right curve. Okay. Make sure you're on the right curve. Okay. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. I'm super stoked to animate that character. She's gonna be a lot smoother too with animation. I've spent a lot of time exporting animations from Mallet Boy just because he's like the first guinea pig kind of character, right? And getting exporting processes down and everything. With Revenero though, it will be a lot smoother and things will go a lot faster just because I know what I'm doing, know what to do now. Because each game, yeah, each game is different. There's gonna be a different export process because there's gonna be different needs for each game, right? And so, getting this process down now with Mallet Boy is gonna secure some serious time in the long run. Yeah. Yeah. We're getting all the processes down for the game. Now, it might take some time to do that now, but later on, it's going to go so much faster, and we'll be able to implement characters way faster. Because we used, because we did the research with the first character. And that's really like how games go. Like, if you're having a game that just gets updated constantly, like, it becomes like more of just like a pipeline thing. Like, especially at WildWorks, well, we have a pipeline now set for our game that's been going for years and years. And I just get handed a character, I do the thing to it that it needs to be done, and it just gets in game in a matter of like a week or two instead of the months that it took when we first started the game. Because we know the pipeline and things are just like super smooth and everything. And so the game almost, just kind of updates itself. Obviously the artists need to work on it and everything, but I haven't saved this whole time. That's scary. It froze for a second and my heart skipped a beat. This rush of adrenaline. I don't know if I hate it or love it. It's definitely a love-hate relationship. Well, yes, no, that part I do hate. But I kind of like the adrenaline rush that I get for just a second. Just a second. It doesn't last very long, especially when the work is lost. Okay, that lean over is looking a lot not stiff, right? Okay. And I think next time we meet, I kind of want to, well, I don't know. When were we planning on doing the what we've accomplished video, Daniel? When did we want to do that video? Because I was just thinking next time I would show everybody how our animations are coming in game and seeing where, going through like what to look for when you need to polish things, right? Woot, 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 right? Woot, woot. Oh, man. I feel for you, but I don't miss those days. Okay, so what I just did here is notice that as Mallet Boy is rotating back here and doing his thing, his arm pops here. All we need to do is just take his shoulder here and rotate it forward. We can probably just tick it over there and then delete that frame so that his elbow stays bent so it doesn't do that pop. It looks like he does it on the way back right there. And this, you'll notice that his elbow is bent here, but because when you're scrubbing through it, it's going down, and then all of a sudden it's going back up again. And so we need to just make it so his arm stays in a straighter pose, so it doesn't go down like this and then start bending back up again. We just need to keep that elbow bent like this. So it's, let's see how that looks for us. Okay, his eyes are doing something freaky. I know, it's crazy. I had to work with what I had. Demon eyes. Of emotion or whatever, yeah. I mean, I can do that if you really want. I don't like how much his head rotates down when he's transitioning from side to side, and so I'm going to just calm that down just a little bit. There we go. And now on his fist here, on his fist pump, we can go ahead and when he transitions to this side, our fist is going to do the same kind of a similar thing as our head. It's going to it's not gonna stay up in the air when he's transitioning like this, right? It's gonna come down just a little bit like this, and then it's gonna rotate back up. The same thing on this side here. It's gonna translate down just a little. It's a little adjustment, but it goes a long way. At least I can tell. And then we can actually, on these same turns, we can pull his body down a little bit like this too, and get his what's up, man? Yeah, I was gonna actually get to that hair just a minute here. Yes, yes, yes. You know, funny enough, that's exactly what I think about when I animate his bangs. Pull all these keys down here. And so I'm smoothing out his chest translation there. Again, this was a little adjustment, but it goes a long way. His chest is translating downward as well as rotating, so we don't just get that rotation from the chest, right? We get the downward rotation and translation, his chest going down and compressing and then coming back up. It's really subtle, but the beauty is in the details of any art piece, right? And so if we look at this from afar, because this is probably the camera angle, I like to do this often. I guess I didn't do it often enough in this video. From afar, right, when we look at this in game, this is exactly what it's going to look like, right? And this looks like a victory animation, a smoothed out, polished victory animation, right? This looks, I'm liking this. I mean, what do you think, Daniel? Looks like he's super happy, right? And so, like Daniel said, we're going to go in here. Let's see, what time are we at here? 53 minutes, okay. Okay, we're almost at our hour. And so, let's give some life to these bangs here, right? So the first most obvious, when I'm doing stuff like hair and stuff, I like to go to the most obvious parts of where the hair is going to react to the character's movements, right? And so the biggest part of this animation are the turns, okay? And so we want to animate that hair going on those turns. And that turn is right here, and so what we're going to do is we're going to add overlap there. And we can add in the rotation and the translation, okay? And if we have it just come up at the same time, we won't see that hair bounciness, right? We have to make sure that it comes up. His head comes up first, and it hits its pose first, and then the hair is going to continue after. And we just need to move those keys over like that. And then what we can do is we can go down like this to get that hair bounce. See how that looks for us. So the first part looks good, right? The second part's kind of muddy. It kind of looks like it's just translating straight down. And all we need to do is go here and just rotate it back, rotate it, because right now it just has translation. If we give it translation and rotation, it will look a lot better. And then to push that even farther, if we just offset one of the curves and put it before the rotation, your hair is gonna it's gonna translate down first, and then it's gonna rotate after, and so it'll give it this nice overlap kind of feeling. Let's see how that does for us. Still not enough. Oh yeah, they're super solid, and I'm happy with his work, and I know I can go into the future with confidence that he knows what he's doing. At first, I'm like, I didn't know what to expect, and you know, seeing his rigs, well, his rig right now coming out of this or whatever, I have confidence that he'll be able to, you know, go do what needs to be done for Revenera, right? Heck yeah, dude. He's awesome. He probably wouldn't like me saying this, but hey, I like his art. You know, have you seen his art? Yeah, I like his art. I think he's great, and he's kind of a little bit hesitant about it sometimes, but I think he's great. Is that on his site recently? It is off. Then we got to rotate. We got to come back the other way with the hair, like this. And so this hair has to keep going this way, since he's not done yet. Going to one side, and so. This whip, I like this whip going from here to here the most. I don't know. I think it really does. And the reason is because the hair is swooping this direction, right? And so it's supporting kind of like a smear frame kind of a thing. It's supporting that. This side, this one doesn't support that as much because the curve of the hair is not like, it's not, I don't know. it has to do with like leading edge kind of stuff, right? And following edge. And so the following edge with the hair on going the other way, it's just supporting that yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, that's the up and down, huh? It's interesting working with different rigs because like every rigger is different and works on different axes. And so at my company, the X rotation is always forwards and back. The side to side is always the Y, and the tilting is always the Z. On Jake's characters, it's different. The Z is up and down on the rotation instead. And so I have to. I'm so used to working at work with my regular rigs, and so it takes me a second to find which rotation is which rotation is where, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just really tweaking, really going in detail with the tweaking stuff. Let's see, one other thing we can add after I'm done doing like the major polish points, I try and go and see and make sure that like I've got like things rotating where they're supposed to rotate. So like this fist here, we're going to go a little bit over time here, but on this fist here, you'll notice that it just translates, right, on the wrist at least. On the wrist, it doesn't really rotate much. Well, maybe it does. And so what we want to do is, just in case it doesn't, is we want to go and add that rotation, down rotation like this into the wrist. And what that will do is that we'll be able to give that overlap, and it will kind of just make it a little more believable, not stiff. It's not looking like mega stiff right now, but it'll just add that extra layer of polish that will just look so much sweeter, if that makes sense. But let's go ahead and let's get in there, and then we're just gonna take these and just pull them over. See, okay, you can, okay, if we scrub it, you can most certainly tell the difference. You see that little right there? See a little overlap? Do you see it? Just right on his hand, right, like his wrist, his arm starts going down, and then his hand rotates just a little bit. You might be able to see it if I play it. You see that? I don't know. Okay, so just stare at the screen for just a sec. And I'm just look at especially that last right there and that last hand pump. Okay, stare at it. Okay, now if I press Z. Oh, well, just kidding. Press Control S to save. That's very important. I press Control S. Now if I play it. Okay, just now I'll step forward again. Oop, I can't. I'll just go like this. Oops. Do you notice that? It's very subtle. Oh, shoot. Let's exaggerate. I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit more. Do you see it now? His wrist is kind of wobbly. It's wobbling more. It wasn't doing that before. And so if I take this and I pull it back like this, yeah, but so that was an exaggerated. If I just pull it back one, if I just offset it by one frame, it gives it just enough. You can't see it. I guess I'm sorry. Daniel, it's disappointing. I'm so disappointed. I guess. But anyways, just doing that just kind of adds just a little bit level of more believability and polish, because your hand isn't going to stay stiff the whole time that you're pumping your fist. There's going to be a little bit of overlap and everything that happens with the wrist as you're pumping your fist. Yeah. I don't believe you. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's just view this one more time. We're going to end the video here just a moment. But to turn off all the curves. I guess we didn't polish the mallet smash, but that's okay. This is the most important part of the animation. And it's looking awesome. Right? It's looking super fun, fantastic, and he's super believable now. He feels like he's won the race, and he doesn't feel CGI, right? He doesn't feel like a game character. He looks like it, but he doesn't feel like it. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? It's because he's moving believably. We've obeyed the laws of physics when moving him, and he doesn't move stiffly. He doesn't feel like a game character. He doesn't feel like a CGI stiff character that's moving around. He feels almost alive in a sense when he's moving, and like he's got personality and a brain, right? Yeah. Oh man, there's so many of those on Netflix. I literally can't watch them. My kids, oh my gosh, my kids they'll watch these horrible, especially like this. I don't know, you don't have kids, so you probably haven't seen them, but they're these these kids sing along shows on Netflix. Oh, dude, like it's scary. It's they're staring at you, and they're just like, and their arms are the movements are really floaty, like the arms are floating around, and oh man, it's just like, and the studios that are producing it, you're like, why are you? You're just like, why are you releasing this garbage? And make money. It's a business, right? They're able to crank out these episodes like super fast, and that's really all that matters, is how much money they can make. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, which kids, younger kids, they don't really notice the detail stuff. They just care about how fun and sing-alongy it is or whatever. They don't notice like the bad stuff. A lot of adults don't even notice. I've been watching. I'll watch terrible animation sometimes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I gotta walk out of this room. It's terrible. And they're like, what are you talking about? I didn't even see anything. I'm like, if only you knew. And so sometimes I'm just like, I'm sad that like I've been given the vision, you know. There yeah, there are some movies, not as far as animation goes, but as far as storyline goes, and just like I just I analyze too much. You know what I mean? Like, because I just know bad choices now when I see them, and bad like camera cuts, and bad choices on the directors. I mean, I guess I'm not a director, so I can't really say if it was a bad choice or not. But there's some like rules that you follow, and I know about them, and the director didn't follow that rule or tried to do something unique, and I can tell, right? And it just like, it almost ruins the movie for me. Or like a part of a story plot that was kind of, they could have done something better, and it's just like, why didn't you do that? Like, why did you do it this way and not this way? Because it ruined the experience. I'm not able to go to the movies and just enjoy the movie, you know. Okay, so just now, I just did this real quick. I moved the shoulder just a little bit, and it added just a little bit more life to that arm. Just a little bit. Anyway, so today we went over polishing the victory animation. And it was a lot of fun. We were from last week we did the blocking. This week did the polish, and it's turned out to look really cool. You know, just like any other thing. When we blocked it in, it was looking iffy. It was looking okay. But now that we've really dug deep and dug into this animation and the curves and everything, and just the detail points, it's really come out solid. And I'm excited to see how it looks in game when this character wins a race. It's gonna be super exciting. So yeah, thanks for joining me and Daniel and I today for this animation tutorial. I'm usually here on for an hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 p.m. Maybe sometimes a little bit after 10:30, but pretty consistently I'll try to get on at 10 on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 p.m. And so please tune in at those times, and you'll be able to see some more cool, fun animation tutorials as we get this guy in game and polish him up and really see the animations come to life. Pretty soon here we'll be doing the next character, starting the animation tutorials on the next character, which is Rivenera. She's going to be really cool. This is the witch character. I mean, is it okay if I tell them about that? This is this cool witch character. It's going to have a spell book, and she's got a completely different personality than Mallet Boy. Her personality is more shy, inward personality, right? And her model supports that and everything. That's the way that I look at her at least. Am I accurate about that, Daniel? Yeah. And the cool thing about her, her main what's her name? Her main personality block or personality is shy, timid, right? But one of the cool things we can do with that character is in her animations and her attack animations and idle breaks and everything is we can kind of break out of that. Like we want to do the animations this shy, timid character, right? But then when she does her animations, she explodes with emotion, right? She outbursts and she's pissed, right? Like when she gets mad, she's not just like a little mad, she's pissed, right? And it's those fun contrasting moments that we can put into the characters like that. But we'll see where it comes out, and we might have to do some little extra work on Mallet Boy to get him to match the animation style. But maybe maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, just keep tuning in, and you'll see some fun stuff coming out of Baka Bros and our fun game. So yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add, Daniel? Maybe he jumped off. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining, folks.